Hi, my name is Dr. Stair, and I am your developmental psychology teacher. And I thought I would do a little bit of video to add more of a personal element to this class. And so here I am in my office with my computer. The cats should wander through periodically. And what I would like to do now is talk a little bit about the course and about the importance of Erik Erikson. I am usually up pacing around, so actually sitting still and talking to you guys on camera feels really strange. So just bear with me, and hopefully I'll get used to this newfangled iPhone technology. So right now we have entered into module number 2, which features the psychodynamic and psychoanalytic thinker Erik Erikson. And I use Erik Erikson as a framework for the entire course because his developmental theories actually span the complete lifespan, even though the theories get a little less relevant the farther we go into adulthood. So we'll have to add in some other theories as we progress. So essentially what I'm going to talk about today is the same material as the outline of the ideas of Erik Erikson in module number 2, which right now is on the welcome page. And so I am not going to read my lecture notes to you because that's incredibly boring, but I am going to cover the same material in more of a lecture format so that you have multiple ways to access. And perhaps, so this material that I'm going to talk about now goes along with the outline of the ideas of Erik Erikson. And these are the notes I wrote for you. If we were in a face-to-face class, I would have written them on the board and you would have taken notes. And I guess you could take notes from what I'm about to say, but I already provided you with that, so you won't need to. So Erik Erikson is a psychoanalytic, psychodynamic, developmental psychologist. He actually studied Freud, and so his ideas are related to the libido theory of Sigmund Freud. If you learned that in intro psych class, the oral stage, anal stage, genital stage, oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital stages. So what Erik Erikson is essentially is a ego psychologist or an ego identity psychologist. He's interested in showing how the physical development of children, teens, and adults, the cognitive or mental development of children, teens, and adults, and the interpersonal interactions that a child has physically, cognitively, and socially. These three elements, the physical, the cognitive, and the social, which includes cultural elements, are the ingredients that go into creating a person's personality. So Erik Erikson is really a personality theorist. He is of the idea that the past, a person's past, very much builds and continues to influence one's present. So everything that's happened to you up to now in your life is built on your experiences that you've had physically, cognitively, and socially, and I guess environmentally in your physical environment. So your personality is dependent on those experiences you've had growing up. And it's also dependent on how you as a person put all those things together. When we go to module 3 and we talk about Hillman, I'll talk more about the integrating subject. Right now I think it's enough to get hold of the idea, which is common in many developmental theories, is that the past, the elements of the past, build the psychological personality of the present. What is personality? If you took my intro class, you know very well what personality is, or you should, because I covered it and covered it and recovered it. But personality is a person's characteristic ways of thinking, feeling, acting, and perceiving and interpreting the world. So your personality is made up of your habitual ways of acting, your habitual ways of thinking about things, your habitual sets of feelings and emotions, and your way of interpreting the world and perceiving things around you. So that's what personality is. It's a person's characteristic ways of thinking, feeling, acting, or behaving, and also interpreting the world. And personality is really what we use to get our needs met, essentially in a socially acceptable way. And personality gets built through our experiences, and also some of it is somewhat inherited. So Erikson is different than Freud in terms of he really emphasizes the social and cultural aspects of development in a way that Freud did not. Erik Erikson is also an American, and Freud was a European. He was Austrian, actually. And Erik Erikson's basic idea was that every person follows the same track of epigenetic development. In other words, you have different issues at different ages, and each age period is essentially responsible for helping you to develop certain qualities or traits of personality. And so most psychoanalysts or psychoanalytic or psychodynamic developmental theorists very much look at how the past shapes the present. And they look less at choices and other factors. So Erik Erikson is considered an ego-identity psychologist. How does one's personality or identity is really a person's way of labeling themselves or seeing themselves. So a personality can encompass unconscious aspects and behaviors and all kinds of things, including things that we don't really know about ourselves. And identity is more conscious. You know, identity would be, so who are you? What are you up to? What are your values and beliefs? What are your basic traits, etc.? You know, whatever you can tell me about who you are, that is your identity. So your identity is, you could say, it's a subsection of personality. And again, I encourage you in this course to apply Erik Erikson's ideas of how each stage of development proceeds to your own development. It's fun and interesting usually to try to use psychological theories to understand ourselves. And that is going to be free, more or less. I'm assuming most of you have access to yourselves 24 hours a day. And so this is a perk, if you could call it that, of this class, that you can learn to apply these ideas to yourself and see if you learn new things about yourself, have new insights, have more consciousness in terms of what you know about yourself. Psychology is really about becoming aware of why you do what you do, who you are, and also why other people do what they do. So Erikson's theory is what we call a stage theory of development. It's the idea that development proceeds in stages, and these are the 8 stages. And in the handout I've written them down, and they span the lifespan. So these stages are sequential. They happen in the same order for everybody throughout the world, although this is a type of psychology that is essentially Western type of psychology. If Erik Erikson had been Chinese, for example, the theory would look a lot different. So this theory really was developed by Western thinkers, applied to people in the United States. And I'm going to shut this video off and do part 2 because I've noticed that seems like the internet handles things in 10-minute increments much better than a longer video.